Hey, what's good everyone? It's CJ. We're back at it again today. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the topic of mastering. Some of you might be unfamiliar with this topic, so I'm going to give you a brief explanation. Essentially, mastering is the last step in the post-production process in order to get a track loud enough so it can be heard on all sorts of devices like laptop speakers, cell phone speakers, AirPods, car speakers, you name it. The idea that I have behind this video today was to initially show you the difference between an unmastered track versus a mastered track, then taking that same unmastered track, uploading it to the Landr platform, and having the Landr AI master the track for us so we can get it ready for distribution on all streaming platforms. Let's head over to my DAW Logic and take a look at an unmastered versus a mastered track. Let's go. Okay, so I just opened up my DAW and I've imported two tracks. At the top here, you have an unmastered version of a song, and the bottom, you have a mastered version of the song. The difference that we could see right off the bat between the two is that the top unmastered tracks transients are much thinner, indicating that there's a lot more headroom in this mix, and that is done on purpose. When a mix engineer mixes a song, they're going to try and leave at least -6 dB of headroom prior to it going into the last phase of the post-production process, which is the mastering phase, right? When we look at the bottom track, we can see that the transients are much more pronounced, they're much broader and fatter, indicating that there's less headroom in the mix, okay? Essentially what that means is that this track is much louder than the top one. So this song is actually something that I wrote, recorded, and produced myself. If you're interested in following my artist journey, feel free to hit the link in the description. I'm on all streaming platforms. The idea that I had right now was to play you the unmastered version of this song. It's called Alone. Then we're going to go and listen to the mastered version so you can hear the difference between an unmastered version versus a mastered version.
I don't really trust the soul, no I don't know. Running down this path of life, I better do alone. Hiding all my emotions, like treasures deep in the ocean. They will never find me, never ever find me. I fell back on my own feet.
Okay, so I played you the hook and a little bit of the start of the verse. Now let's go ahead and solo out the mastered version and hear the difference.
I don't really trust the soul, no I don't know. Running down this path of life, I better do alone. Hiding all my emotions, like treasures deep in the ocean. They will never find me, never ever find me. I fell back on my own feet.
Now that we've heard the difference between an unmastered and a mastered version, you could see that the mastered version is a lot louder, a lot more pronounced, it has more body, and that would be the version that we want to use to upload to streaming platforms so that your listeners can really enjoy the music without having to crank up the volume too much. Traditionally speaking, when an artist records his or her track in a studio, the recording engineer or the mix engineer would finalize the mix and get it ready for the mastering phase. Then it's sent over to a mastering engineer, and the mastering engineer would then put the final touches on it, get the loudness level up to par with today's standard so that it's ready for distribution. If you're an artist, working in a home studio like me, that doesn't have, a label budget to, get this track recorded in a professional studio, then send off to a mix engineer, then send off to a mastering engineer, that's going to cost a lot of money. So this is where Landr comes in. So let's say you've recorded your track, you've mixed it yourself, and at this point you're ready for the mastering phase, but you really don't know how to approach that. You can use Landr and the Landr AI to master that track for you, basically making that track the best possible product it can be before it gets distributed on all platforms and the consumer can listen to it. So the next thing I'd like to do is upload the unmastered version of my song to the Landr platform and having the Landr AI master the track for us. Then we'll download it afterwards and do a comparison between the track that I mastered versus the track that Landr mastered. Okay, now I'm on the Landr website and I'm going to import the unmastered version of my song. It's going to start uploading it now and start processing it. I like the fact that you have some reading material here that you could check out while the track is being mastered by Landr. Okay, so now our preview is complete. Let's hit the listen button. Now Landr is presenting us with a few parameters that we could check out. Here you have a switch that you could switch between the original and the master. That's going to come in handy if we want to make a comparison between what we uploaded and how Landr mastered the track. So let's go ahead and go to the original, hit play. And let's hit mastered.
Plans I plan to drown them. Wish I had more confidence. Give less fucks and just dive in.
We can tell right off the bat it's fairly loud, and from what I can hear, it's also treating the low end a little bit. So below the original and master switch, you have this volume match. Let's check this out. Use the volume match to preview your original and master at the same volume and compare with more accuracy. I like that because, you know, when a track is too loud, sometimes it's hard to hear the differences and stuff. So with this volume match, I can hear, you know, essentially what it did to the mix. Here's the mastered version.
Wish I had more confidence. Give less fucking just dive in. No more overthinking it. I'm ruling all my intentions. This is my anthem. Look at my actions. I hope you see. I'm opening in my covers so you can see right inside of me.
So what I can tell is with the mastered version is that the vocals seem to be a lot more pronounced. And, you know, it's taken off a little bit at the low end. That's what I'm hearing so far. Below the volume match, you have these two things that you could click. You have Landr, which allows you to change, you know, the style and the loudness of the master. Or you could also choose reference. So refine and shape your sound with reference mastering. Upload a finished mastered reference track to guide the AI as it masters your mix. So that's pretty useful because if you have an idea of what you want your master to sound like and have a reference track that you can upload, you could use this feature. For today, we're going to stick with the Landr function here. Right under that, you have style. So choose between 3 unique mastering styles, each with its own character and feel. So warm indicates a vintage warmth with softer compression for thick, smooth sounds. Balanced is the controlled with focus on balance, clarity, and depth. And then you have the open, which is the more modern open sound with emphasis on punch and presence. Okay, so let's have a listen here to the mastered version. We'll check out these different styles and see what we like the best. Okay, so here, let's start with warm.
How I'm supposed to act around them. So-called friends, they plotting plans, I plan to drown them.
Let's go with balance. Have a listen to that.
Wish I had more confidence. Give less fucks and just dive in. No more overthinking it.
Now let's have a listen to the open style.
Look at my actions, I hope you see. I'm opening my covers so you can see right inside of me. I accept the consequences, building walls and raising fences. I ain't letting nobody through. Nah. You just trying to gain my trust.
I actually like the warm style the best for this particular track. I was thinking I was probably going to choose balanced or open, but I really like the warm style for this particular track. It sort of has like an 80s feel with the instrumental, so maybe that's the style we want to go for. So I'm going to select warm. Now you have different loudness levels. You have low, medium, and high. So let's go ahead and check out those differences and make our choice.
This is my anthem. Look at my actions. I hope you see. I'm opening my covers so you can see right inside of me. I accept the consequences, building walls and raising fences. I ain't letting nobody through. Nah. You just trying to gain my trust.
Choosing between the loudness levels here, I'm going to go with the medium. Last step is to create the master, so let's go ahead and hit that button. Now we're going to choose the format. So we have 3 different formats that we could choose from. We have an MP3, which is perfect for sharing. We have a WAV. This is the uncompressed industry standard for distribution. So if you're uploading this to streaming platforms, you definitely need to choose the WAV at least. And then you have an HD WAV, which is a high-res audio for use in all forms of media. So if you're, planning on burning it on CDs and stuff like that, you probably should go with the HD WAV. Let's go ahead and hit continue. So now that we've selected our settings, Landr is finalizing the master. Once that's completed, we'll download it, bring it back into Logic, and do a comparison between the master that I made and Landr's master. Okay, so we're back in Logic. I've imported Landr's master now so we can do a comparison between the version that I mastered versus Landr's master. And right off the bat, I can tell that Landr's version is actually louder, which is a good thing, due to the fact that the transients are fatter. There's less headroom, as I can see here, versus the version that I mastered. The next step I want to take is take a look at something called the LUFS. And we use a LUFS meter for that, so that we can get an accurate reading of the LUFS. The LUFS, again, is the perceived loudness level. So for today's standard, what we're looking for is -14 LUFS. So I'm going to let it run through all the way and get a sense of what the LUFS are for my mastered version. Again, we're looking for a -14 at least.
Tomorrow, I'ma hide this pain and let it turn into sorrow. Praying that you come and running after me.
So I let Insights take a look at the loudness level for this track, and it's coming in at -12.4, which is good. I want anything between -14 to about -10. Again, 0 being the ceiling, right? So negative 12 is actually louder than negative 14, keeping that in mind. All right, so my track was at negative 12.4. Okay, next, let's go ahead and have insights. Check the loudness level for the Landr master. Again, what we're looking for is at least negative 14. If it's anywhere between negative 14 and negative 10, I'm happy with it. So let's make that measurement now.
I fell back on my own feet. Never needed your help. I did this shit by myself. Never ever accept defeat.
All right, taking a look at the LUFS for the Landr master version, it is definitely louder than the version that I had mastered. We're sitting at around negative 9.5. So again, 0 being the ceiling, anything closer to 0 is going to be louder. Negative 9.5 LUFS is definitely more than I can ask for in terms of loudness. At the same time, Landr's keeping, you know, the clarity of my mix and stuff, so I'm happy with that result. Let's say I'm not happy with the master and I want to make some changes to it. Landr actually has a revision process that you could check out. Let's head over back to the Landr website and see what type of revisions we can make to that master that we created to get the best results possible. Okay, so we're back on the Landr website, and now we have the option of revising our master that Landr initially created. So right here you have this button called Revision. So let's go ahead and click on that. Mastering Revision. Drill down into the nitty-gritty details of your track with Mastering Revision. Fine-tune your EQ, adjust your loudness, protect against sibilance, and refine your sound for the perfect final master. All right, let's go ahead and hit Revise Master. So how's this the loudness level? I liked it. It was, again, negative 9.5 LUFS, so I'll stick with that. And do you want to enable the distortion filter? Let's do that. Why not? Let's have a listen to it after the fact, after applying the distortion filter to see if we get any more clarity. How's the EQ intensity? I feel like it's good. Adjust EQ. Okay, so fine-tune the EQ specific frequency ranges that might be distracting or hard to hear. So the lows are boomy. I feel like the lows were actually good, so I'm going to choose good. The mids, let's say they're muddy. I'm just, you know, I'm trying different things out. The highs are good. Let's say the vocals are a little bit too nasally. I definitely know my voice, you know, has a nasally tone to it, so I'm going to choose nasal. Adjust the sibilance control. Okay, so these are things like S's and F's, you know, things that might sound sharp in the mix. So how much additional sibilance control would you like to apply? So I'll say light. And where would you like the control of the sibilance? High voices, low voices, full. Let's go with the high voices. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and hit Revise Master and wait for those revisions to be done. Then we're going to re-download it, bring it back to Logic, and do another comparison. Okay, so we're back in Logic, and I've imported the revised master that Landr had provided us. And we're going to go ahead and solo out a specific portion of this song so we can hear the difference between the previous master versus the revised master. So I'm thinking of going with this section right here. And let's have a listen to the revised version first.
Never ever find me. It's too late for you to come around. You broke my trust, you feel you let me down.
Okay, so what I was specifically listening for there was the sibilances. You know, my S's could tend to be a little bit sharp, so I wanted to hear what it did with those sibilances and taking the harshness out. I remember we applied the distortion filter also. I feel like it's a little smoother sounding, but let's have a listen to the initial master that Landr provided us to make that comparison now.
Never ever find me. It's too late for you to come around. You broke my trust, you feel you.
I can definitely hear the sibilances have been touched up a bit, and overall I feel like it has a smoother sound now that we've applied those revisions to this master. One more thing I wanted to do was to check the LUFS, the loudness level for the revised version, to see if any of the changes we made this track, you know, louder or quieter.
Nah. You just try to gain my trust, and to me that seems super sus. I ain't never letting you through.
Okay, so running through it, I did notice a change in the loudness level after making those revisions to the master, and now we're sitting at around negative 10.6 versus the negative 9.5 that we had before. So it's a little quieter. For my preference, I usually try to stay within the negative 14 to negative 10 range. So this actually is right within that range. And I'm definitely happy with those results. So for the last portion of this video, I wanted to check out Landr's plans and pricing. They have something called an all access pass, which is great. This basically gives you access to everything that Landr has to offer. They're not only a mastering platform, they have a lot more bells and whistles to check out. So you can see the pricing here, and then this is what you get with the all access pass. So you get mastering, sound better than ever with 3 wave masters a month. So if you're banging out 3 songs a month, that's definitely the way to go with that. They have distribution available, so you could release tracks on all streaming platforms. It looks like they have 150 plus platforms to choose from, including Spotify, Apple Music, and you keep 100% of your royalties. They also have samples that you can unlock with this access pass, and gives you access to like 1 million plus exclusive and royalty-free sounds from the top producers, and you get 20 credits a month for that. Next, you have sessions, which is share your music the way it's meant to be heard. So you could stream premium video calls with high-quality audio directly from your DAW. That's awesome for collaborations during a pandemic, for example, or if you're working with somebody out of state. It's essential for you to be able to collaborate without losing the quality of the audio. So sessions is definitely something I'm going to be using a lot more. Then they have something called Chromatic, which is a sample library platform which integrates directly into your DAW and you can make beats with. I've tried it out. It's absolutely insane. That's definitely a must-have. Then you have access to projects. Collaborate and finish tracks faster with the dedicated space to store files and time-stamped feedback. So that's great for, back and forth for collaboration and being able to keep track of changes in a track. For me, if I'm working on songs, I know I go back a lot. There are a lot of versions that I create, and so that's a great way to keep track of that. Last but not least, you got access to Landr Insider, achieve insider status, and get early access to new Landr products and features at no additional cost. So whatever Landr brings out in the future, you get access to quicker than anyone else. I'll definitely leave a link in the description for you to check out all the different various pricing structures they have for mastering, distribution, samples, or sessions. So if you don't want to go with the all access pass, you could pay for the individual services that they have to offer. Hey, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video today. More importantly, I hope you guys learned something new. And if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified anytime I drop some new content. If you have ideas for more content, be sure to use a comment section for that. I'm always ears. I want to hear what you guys want to see. If you're an artist, producer, or generally just a creative, you should definitely go check out Landr. I'll leave a link in the description for you to go check them out. They have some really awesome tools for creatives like us that can help us all grow and get better at what we do. My name is CJ. I'm out for now. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.